There comes a moment in every relationship that changes everything. A moment when the walls that once felt like concrete start to crack. A moment when the one who seemed so distant, so unreachable, suddenly sees you in a way they never have before. It's the second their eyes soften, their voice lowers, and they realize you are not just another person passing through, you are the one I cannot let go of. For people with avoidant tendencies, relationships often feel like dangerous territory. They build their identity on self-sufficiency. They protect themselves with silence, withdrawal, or distance. Love to them isn't just risky, it feels like exposure. It feels like standing in front of the world completely naked and hoping not to be wounded again. So they armor up. They create rules. Don't get too close. Don't depend on anyone. Don't need too much. Don't reveal too much. But here's what's extraordinary: in the right connection, those rules stop working. When an avoidant meets someone who is different, someone who is steady, someone who radiates a mix of patience and strength, they feel something unfamiliar: safety. They may fight it. They may try to run from it. But deep down, they know. And that realization often comes in one breathtaking, earth-shaking moment. Think about this. It's not grand gestures that break through their walls. It's not dramatic ultimatums or chasing. It's the quiet consistency. It's the way you stay grounded when they push away. It's the way you don't beg for their love. You embody love. And there comes a moment when that realization pierces through their defense like sunlight breaking through clouds. That's the exact moment when the avoidant suddenly knows, this isn't someone I can replace. This isn't someone I can walk away from without losing a part of myself. This is the one I've been searching for, even though I told myself I didn't need it. And what's powerful is that this moment doesn't just transform the relationship, it transforms them. Because when an avoidant realizes you're the one, they are forced to confront everything they've been running from: intimacy, vulnerability, trust. And instead of running away, for the first time, they lean in. So today, I want to take you deep into this journey. We're going to break down the 6 moments, the 6 shifts that open the avoidant's eyes. 6 powerful turning points where they stop resisting and start embracing the truth: you are the one. One of the most powerful awakenings for an avoidant happens when they realize you don't crumble in the face of their silence, their space, or their withdrawal. See, for someone with avoidant patterns, distance is their safety net. It's the tool they've used for years to regain control when they feel overwhelmed. They've learned that when emotions get too heavy, stepping back is how they survive. But what usually happens? Most people, when faced with this pulling away, panic. They chase, they call, they demand reassurance. They try to fix the silence by breaking it. And when that happens, the avoidant's fears are confirmed. See, intimacy isn't safe. People can't handle me. People will always smother me. But then there comes you, the one who doesn't chase, the one who doesn't collapse under the weight of their distance, the one who doesn't confuse their silence with rejection. Instead, you stay grounded, you stay calm, you let them breathe. You let them retreat without turning it into a war. And this is where everything changes. Because when you don't fear their distance, you show them something they've never seen before, that closeness can coexist with freedom. You demonstrate that love doesn't have to feel like chains, it can feel like wings. And this realization hits them harder than you know. In that moment, the avoidant begins to realize, wait, this person isn't trying to control me. They're not trying to own me. They actually respect my need for space. And yet, even when they give me space, I feel closer to them. How is that possible? This is the paradox that flips the avoidance world upside down. Your strength, your ability to hold steady when they retreat, makes them realize you're different. You're not reacting from fear. You're not trying to force intimacy. You're not insecurely attaching yourself to their behavior. Instead, you're embodying a rare combination of self-assurance and unconditional presence. And here's the deeper truth: when they see you can handle their distance, they start to trust that maybe, just maybe, you can handle their closeness too. That's the bridge they've been missing their whole life. Not someone who demands intimacy, but someone who allows intimacy to naturally emerge without suffocation. And in that moment, when they see you're not afraid of their distance, the first spark of realization hits. This is someone I cannot lose. For someone with avoidant tendencies, nothing feels more threatening than the idea of being fixed. All their life, they've built this fortress of independence, this armor of self-sufficiency, because at some point, maybe as children, maybe in past relationships, they learned a painful lesson. If I'm fully myself, I'm not enough. If I show my true needs, I'll be rejected. If I open up, I'll be hurt. So they create distance as a form of survival. Now here's the problem. Most people who get close to them immediately want to change them. They hear, "Why can't you just open up more? Why don't you say I love you more often? Why do you always need so much space? Why can't you just be like other people?" And every time they hear this, it only reinforces their deepest fear. See, I'm broken, I'm too much, or maybe I'm not enough. Either way, I'll never be truly accepted. That cycle drives them deeper into avoidance. But then something remarkable happens when they meet someone like you. You don't try to mold them into who you want them to be. You don't force timelines, expectations, or constant emotional disclosures. Instead, you meet them where they are. You love them in their language, not just your own. That doesn't mean you tolerate unhealthy behavior or erase your needs. It means you bring acceptance first, not judgment. And that is revolutionary for them, because when an avoidant senses that you are not in the relationship to fix them, a massive weight lifts. They begin to breathe easier around you. They feel that rare sense of being understood without conditions. They notice that they can be quiet, they can be reserved, they can even need space, and you don't shame them for it. You don't lecture them about how they should love. You don't weaponize their fear of intimacy against them. Instead, you reflect something far greater. I see you. I respect your pace. I'm not here to change you. I'm here to walk with you. And let me tell you, that realization hits deep. For someone who has always believed love means pressure, demands, and loss of freedom, this kind of acceptance feels like oxygen after years of suffocation. It's in that moment they start to think, this person doesn't need me to become someone else. They actually love me as I am. And maybe, just maybe, I can let down my guard with them. Maybe I can grow, not because they demand it, but because I want to. And here's where it gets even more powerful. When you stop trying to change them, ironically, that's when they do change. They soften. They risk more vulnerability. They begin to move closer, not because they were pushed, but because they finally feel safe to take the step themselves. It's counterintuitive, but true transformation doesn't happen through force. It happens through acceptance. And the moment they realize you aren't trying to rewrite their story, they start to write a new chapter with you willingly. That is one of the exact moments the avoidant begins to see you as the one. Because you aren't just another person trying to squeeze them into a box. You're the one who gives them the freedom to evolve at their own pace. You're the one who reflects back unconditional love, the kind of love they never believed was real. And that kind of love, they can't walk away from it. Avoidants are masters of creating walls, emotional walls, psychological barriers, invisible shields that keep people at arm's length. It's not that they don't want connection. It's that connection feels dangerous. Every brick in those walls was laid down after an experience of pain, abandonment, criticism, betrayal, rejection. To them, those walls are not just protection, they're survival. And yet, there comes a moment when they realize your presence is stronger than their walls. What does that mean? It means your steadiness, your consistency, your emotional gravity begins to outshine the fortress they've built. Think about it. Most people either retreat when they encounter those walls or crash against them with force, trying to tear them down. Either way, the avoidant learns. See, my walls keep me safe. No one really wants to stay once they see the real me. But then you enter the picture, and you don't retreat. You don't rage against the walls either. You simply stand in your presence, solid, unwavering, rooted. You don't play tug of war with their defenses. You let them be. You radiate this quiet strength that says, I don't need to break your walls down to love you. I'll stand here until you realize you don't need them anymore. And here's where the transformation begins. Because presence is more powerful than pressure. Pressure makes them pull back further, but presence draws them closer. It creates a space where their defenses start to feel unnecessary. And in that space, for the first time, The avoidant begins to feel what they've been craving, but too afraid to admit safety. Picture this. There's a moment when they look at you and realize, I've pushed, I've pulled away, I've tested, I've built walls, and yet they're still here. They're not begging, they're not angry, they're just here. Solid, consistent, steady. That's when it dawns on them that your presence is different. It's not reactive, it's not manipulative, it's not fragile. It's strong enough to outlast their fears. And the moment they realize your presence is stronger than their walls, something deep within them shifts. Suddenly, those walls don't feel like safety anymore. They feel like a prison. Suddenly, it's not you they're protecting themselves from. It's themselves. And in that flash of awareness, they realize, I've spent my whole life trying to protect my heart, but with this person, I don't need to hide it anymore. Their presence is the protection I've been searching for all along. This is not about dependency. It's not about you rescuing them. It's about them realizing that your strength inspires their own, that you aren't intimidated by their fears, that you aren't shaken by their silence, that you aren't offended by their distance. Your presence becomes a mirror reflecting back to them what's possible: intimacy without fear, love without control, connection without loss of self. And when that realization hits, when they see that their walls are weaker than your presence, something profound happens. They begin to lower their guard, not because you asked them to, not because you pushed them to, but because they want to. That's the exact moment they start to think, this person is different. They don't just see me. They don't just want me. They can actually hold me. They are the one I can finally trust with the parts of me I've hidden from the world. That's not a fleeting thought. It's a soul-level recognition. And once they've felt it, they can't unfeel it. For someone with avoidant patterns, one of their deepest fears is being needed in a way that feels suffocating. To them, need often equals control. They fear that if someone depends too much on them, they'll lose their freedom, their identity, and eventually feel trapped. That fear of being consumed by another person's emotional weight is what makes them back away from closeness. But there comes a powerful moment when they look at you and realize something is very different. They realize you choose them. But you don't need them in a desperate way. What does that look like? It looks like someone who has their own center of gravity, someone who has their own dreams, passions, and purpose, someone who isn't waiting for another person to complete them, but instead chooses partnership as an addition to an already whole life. And that energy is magnetic. Think about it. The avoidant is used to people coming into their lives with a kind of hunger. Love me, fix me, reassure me, make me whole. And that's overwhelming. But when they encounter you, the story changes. You're not clinging, you're not begging, you're not trying to pull them into a role they never signed up for. Instead, you stand in front of them with grounded strength and say, through your actions, I want you, I choose you, but I don't need you to breathe. And that's when everything shifts, because now, instead of feeling like love is a trap, they feel like love is a choice. They feel like you're with them not out of dependency, but out of true desire. That distinction is everything. This realization often comes in subtle ways. Maybe it's the way you carry yourself in life. Maybe it's the way you continue to grow, pursue your passions, nurture your friendships, and live fully, even while being with them. Maybe it's the way you never make them the sole source of your happiness, but instead invite them to share in the happiness you've already created. When they see that, their defenses weaken. Why? Because you represent a type of love that doesn't demand their surrender. It invites their participation. They begin to realize, I'm not being trapped here. I'm being chosen. This person doesn't need me to complete them. They want me because of who I am, not because of what I can give or do. And here's the paradox, say, when they see that you don't need them, that's when they actually want to give more of themselves. They start to lean in more. They start to take risks emotionally. Because now, love doesn't feel like a prison. It feels like freedom. They feel liberated by the fact that you're not placing the weight of your happiness on their shoulders. They see you thriving in your own right, and instead of feeling like they're drowning in responsibility, they feel inspired. They want to be a part of your world, not because you need saving, but because you're worth standing beside. And here's the kicker. This is the exact moment many avoidants realize you're the one. Not when you beg for them, not when you convince them, but when you show them, I am already whole. I choose you because I want you, not because I need you to fill a void. That energy is irresistible. It's rare. And for someone who has spent a lifetime running from suffocating attachment, this feels like the kind of love they can finally trust. This is the love that doesn't trap them but frees them. So when they see that your love is rooted in choice, not need, they know this isn't just love. This is the one I can build my life with. For an avoidant, vulnerability is not a small step. It's a cliff dive. Opening up, admitting fears, showing weakness, it feels like handing someone a loaded weapon and hoping they won't pull the trigger. That's why so often they keep their emotions locked away. They'd rather appear strong, aloof, or detached than risk exposing the parts of themselves that have been wounded in the past. But then there comes a moment, sometimes subtle, sometimes seismic, when they take a chance with you. Maybe it's late at night when they let a fear slip out. Maybe it's a quiet confession about their past. Maybe it's the first time they tell you, in their own guarded way, that they've been hurt, abandoned, or left behind before. And in that moment, they are watching you closer than you realize. They're asking, silently, will you shame me? Will you use this against me? Will you see me as weak? Or will you still choose me even when I'm not perfect? Most people fail this test without even knowing it. They dismiss the vulnerability. They lecture. They rush to fix it. They even weaponize it later during arguments. And every time that happens, the avoidant's inner voice grows louder. See, I was right not to open up. Vulnerability is dangerous. I'll never risk that again. But then something different happens with you. Instead of reacting with judgment, impatience, or shock, you hold space. You listen. You don't flinch. You don't overreact. You don't make it about you. You allow their words, their fears, their humanity to land, and you stay steady. That steadiness is everything, because in that moment, the avoidant realizes something life-changing. I can show this person my scars, and they won't run. I can show them my fears, and they won't think less of me. I can reveal the parts of myself I've hidden, and they won't use it as a weapon. I'm safe here. And the power of that realization is enormous, because the truth is, most avoidants don't hate intimacy. They crave it. They just fear the cost of it. And when they discover that you can hold their vulnerability without judgment, it's like their entire nervous system relaxes. For the first time, intimacy feels like safety instead of danger. Imagine what that does to someone who's built their whole identity on self-protection. Imagine how it feels to realize, I don't have to carry this alone anymore. I don't have to hide anymore. I can be fully myself, and this person won't just stay. They'll love me even more for it. That's not just love, that's healing. And in that exact moment, the avoidant begins to see you as the one. Because here's the truth, anyone can love the highlight reel, the confident exterior, the charming mask. But it takes someone extraordinary to love the unfiltered truth, to embrace the messy, scared, imperfect parts too. When they realize you can do that, you move into a category all your own. You're no longer just a partner. You're the safe harbor they've been searching for all their life. And here's what's even more powerful. Once they know you can handle their vulnerability, they begin to give you more of it. Not all at once, not perfectly, but piece by piece. And every piece they give you is another brick removed from the wall around their heart. That's the exact moment they realize, this person doesn't just love me, they truly see me, and I've never had that before. I can't lose this. I won't lose this. Because this is the one. For the avoidant, distance has always been their safe zone. Space has been their way of regaining control. They believe, if I step back, I'll be safe. If I pull away, I won't get hurt. And for a long time, that belief works, at least on the surface. But here's the irony. The very thing they rely on to protect themselves eventually becomes the very thing that exposes them. Because sooner or later, they step back from you. They retreat into their familiar cave of silence, pulling away to test whether they can survive without you. And that's when the most profound realization strikes them. They can't. In the beginning, they may convince themselves they're fine. They distract themselves. They bury themselves in work, hobbies, or surface-level connections. But there's always this gnawing emptiness that lingers. And it's different from anything they've felt before because this time the emptiness has a name. It's you. Suddenly, the laughter they shared with you echoes in the silence. The comfort of your presence feels irreplaceable. The steadiness you brought into their storm becomes glaringly absent. And in that absence, the truth hits them harder than they ever expected. I thought I wanted space, but the space without them doesn't bring me peace. It brings me pain. This is the exact moment they realize you're the one. Because in their past, walking away from people felt like relief, but walking away from you feels like loss. They expected freedom, but found loneliness. They expected control, but discovered chaos. They expected to feel lighter, but instead they feel incomplete. And that is the moment that flips their entire narrative upside down, because for the first time in their life, they see that their old strategy, distance, withdrawal, detachment, doesn't work anymore. Not with you. Not with the bond you've built. Not with the connection they've discovered. They begin to realize this isn't just another relationship. This isn't just another person. This is my anchor. This is my mirror. This is my home. And here's the beautiful paradox. This realization often happens in your absence, not your presence. It's when they've had the chance to test life without you that they finally recognize how much you mean to them. It's when they think they can survive on their own, only to discover that on their own no longer feels like living. That's when the avoidant shifts. That's when they move from fear to desire, from running to returning. That's when they stop asking, do I need this person? And start declaring, I want this person. I can't live without them. They're the one. And here's the most powerful truth. This realization doesn't just make them miss you. It makes them transform for you. Because once they know life without you is empty, they'll fight to protect the life they can only have with you. They'll risk the vulnerability they once feared. They'll lean into the intimacy they once avoided. They'll break their own patterns, not because you demanded it, but because the thought of losing you is far scarier than the thought of opening up. That's the exact moment an avoidant realizes you're not just another person. They realize you're irreplaceable. You're the one who broke through every wall, not with force, but with presence, patience, and love. You're the one who made their solitude feel hollow and their connection feel alive. You're the one who turned distance into longing and fear into courage. And from that moment forward, everything changes. Because once an avoidant realizes life without you is emptiness, they know deep in their soul, you're the one. And I can't afford to let you go. There comes a point in every love story where everything shifts. For the avoidant, that point is not when you chase them, not when you demand their love, not when you try to force closeness. No, the transformation happens in the quiet moments when they realize something extraordinary. You are the one person who sees past their walls, past their fears, past their defenses, and loves them anyway. That realization is not just about you. It's about them awakening to a version of love they never thought possible. And once they taste it, they can never go back to who they were before. When an avoidant sees that you're not afraid of their distance, they begin to trust. When they see you're not trying to change them, they begin to relax. When they feel your presence is stronger than their walls, they begin to open. When they realize you choose them without needing them, they begin to lean in. When they see you can hold their vulnerability without judgment, they begin to risk intimacy. And finally, when they taste life without you and find it empty, they begin to fight for the connection they once resisted. These 6 moments are not random, they are milestones. Each one is a step closer to the ultimate truth that love is not a trap but a liberation. The beauty of this journey is that it's not about perfection. Avoidants don't wake up one day completely free of their fears. They stumble, they pull back, they question. But once they recognize you as the one, those stumbles no longer push you apart, they pull you closer. Because now the game has changed. They're no longer running from intimacy. They're running toward it. They're no longer protecting themselves from love. They're protecting love itself. And that shift is what turns distance into devotion. So understand this: if you've ever wondered whether the avoidant in your life can truly love, the answer is yes. But their love doesn't ignite through pressure. It ignites through patience. It doesn't flourish through control. It flourishes through freedom. It doesn't deepen through judgment. It deepens through acceptance. You don't have to chase, convince, or beg them into realizing your worth. You simply have to embody it consistently and powerfully until they cannot deny what's right in front of them. You are the one. And when that moment arrives, when their walls crumble, when their fears dissolve, when they finally look at you and see the truth, you'll understand why every second of patience, every ounce of strength, every moment of self-belief was worth it. Because what you have then is not just love, it's love refined by fire. Love that survived the distance. Love that conquered fear. Love that proved itself in silence and in storms. That is the love that lasts. That is the love that transforms. And that is the love that makes you unforgettable. Thank you for walking with me through this journey of understanding avoidant love at its deepest level. Remember, love is not about fixing someone. It's about being the steady presence that awakens the best in them. If this message resonated with you, keep holding your strength, your patience, and your truth. Because the right person, even if they resist it at first, will always recognize real love when it stands before them. Until next time, stay powerful, stay grounded, and never forget your worth. Goodbye and much love to you all.